everyone. This is Royce with Viking Wax Press. Today with me, I've got Kelly from CardBlitz and Aaron from Pro Football Retro. Hi, guys. How's
Hey,
it going?
Hey,
very
hey,
good.
Good. Today, we're going to talk about our favorite NFL team's rival and our least liked players on those teams. So I'm going to start and allow Kelly to talk about his rival, and then we're each going to kind of go around the table and do one guy at a time, but we're going to do five guys from each rival team. So, Kelly, who's your rival team?
well, being a Dallas Cowboys fan, growing up in the 70s, it's not a division rival. Most folks would think Cowboys, it's got to be like Redskins, Eagles, Giants, maybe even the Cardinals back in the day in the 70s. But for me, my most hated rival, the team that I despise to this day, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay.
They are like everything that represents evil in the world to me. They are bad news. They ruined my childhood in some ways with some of those battles in the Super Bowls, and I'll get into that. But Super Bowl 10 and 13 didn't turn out the way I wanted them to turn out as a Cowboys fan.
All right. Aaron, what about you?
So I have a lot of teams I despise, but number one on the list is the Miami Dolphins. Kind of similar reasons. They owned the Bills for the whole decade of the 70s. The Bills did not win a game against the Dolphins for 10 years. So 20 games in a row they lost. So that stings. And then they were pretty bitter rivals throughout the 80s and 90s, like the Marino Kelly years. Um, and they're still the ones like I do not want to lose to the Dolphins. Like this year we lost to them and they stunk this year. And I just, it was
Yeah.
the worst feeling. Like losing to anybody else is better than losing to the Dolphins.
Well, my favorite team is the Minnesota Vikings, and I don't like the Packers and I don't like the Bears because they're in the same conference, but I really don't like the Cowboys because over the years, the Cowboys and the Vikings have had some major battles. So, and there's some guys that I just do not like at all on the Cowboys. So I'm going to go with the Cowboys today.
Nothing personal, Kelly, right?
Right, right. This is just favorite teams, most hated rival, and the players on those teams. So,
Yeah.
Royce, thank you for making this happen, and Aaron, let's have a great episode, right?
All
Yep.
right.
Sounds good. Start us off, Kelly. Who's a guy that you don't like on the Steelers?
Well, my number five, and I talked about him when we talked about the our what was it the defensive members, the most feared defensive members. Well, going back to that guy out
Uh,
of Kansas State, one Jack Lambert.
Yeah.
And for all the reasons I mentioned before, Super Bowl 10, him and Cliff Harris had a little meeting at the at halftime, and I really think Lambert kind of set the tone for that Pittsburgh defense, and and that affected the Cowboys throughout the 70s.
mm.
But he was a no nonsense kind of guy. He brought his lunch pail and hard hat to work every day, and he got after it. And he was able to plug the running lanes for like Dwayne Thomas, and he applied a lot of pressure to Roger Staubach, having to make errant throws. So Jack Lambert, you're number five on the hated list for me.
Yep, that's a good one. Okay, what about you, Aaron?
This was tough. I could have had like 20, but mine my number five is Mercury Morris. Actually kind of an exciting player, but look at that stupid jersey. Look at that teal color. Um, no, also this guy every year, the 17 and 0 Dolphins from 72. Every year when the last team loses a game, he's the linchpin of like celebrating and clinking the champagne glasses and rubbing it in everybody's face. And um, that year is actually the closest the Bills ever got. They almost beat them. I think they lost by 1 or 2 points in
Wow.
one of the regular seasons game. So they could have snapped the streak and they could have like stopped that perfect season. So I've watched that game on YouTube before, and it's just kind of painful. Like, oh, you guys almost had it. Um, yeah, Mercury Morris is annoying.
Yeah. Okay, well, for me, I'm going to show you. I've got this guy right here, 1975 tops, Drew Pearson. So Drew Pearson, as a Vikings fan, I don't think there's probably any Vikings fan that likes Drew Pearson because 1975 uh, is known as the Hail Mary catch that Roger Staubach threw to Drew Pearson with 32 seconds left in the game. This is an NFC divisional playoff game that the Cowboys ended up winning because what most Vikings fans believe is that Push Pearson pushed off on Nate Wright and allowed him to catch that Hail Mary that won them the game. So we call him Push Pearson and not fans at all. So nothing personal, but that play is enough right there to put him on my list.
And
Let,
that's
let
where
me
they
ask you
coined
this.
the term Hail Mary, right? It was not a term before that game,
True.
right?
Yep.
And I think was Staubach a big Catholic?
Yeah.
Is
Still
that
is.
kind of why they did it? Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
And
So
Royce, I was going to ask you real quick on Push Pearson. Other than that certain play, are there any other memorable moments of hate that Vikings fans would have with Pearson catching passes in playoff games?
that's a real good question. Not that I recall directly, but he did have epic years. He was their best receiver really until the 90s. Historically, like they went through a dry spell of receivers, kind of the late 80s, where they didn't have anybody outstanding. But so he was really their guy for a long time. Drew Pearson was their best guy. So
Yeah, until Michael Irvin showed
yeah,
up. So,
exactly.
yeah, I mean, you're right though. It wasn't like there was a plentiful bounty of three trips to the right and offset receiver on the left. None of that.
Yeah, exactly. So for that reason, he was just one of their best players on my rival team. So don't like him. I do appreciate his athleticism. He's a good athlete. Just don't like the guy.
You would love him if he was wearing purple.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Could have been, right?
Yeah.
Um, well, Royce, getting to my number four,
Okay.
and it's one of those things like you had mentioned, respect. And this player was, on Super Bowls 10 and 13. And so, viewers are going to get a real, they're going to understand there's a theme here with my hatred for the Steelers. And this guy was toting the rock
Mm.
in both those Super Bowls against my Dallas Cowboys. And he had his own army, Franco's army of all things, man. Like, how can you hate a man like that? I respect him. It's not true
Mhm.
hatred like I feel with
Right.
Lamb, but I mean, he was instrumental in both Super Bowls. Scored a touchdown on the ground for both. Super Bowl 13. He cut some passes also, and that helped out Bradshaw and the Steelers offense. That both those games were close, but I think Franco Harris kind of tipped the scales in the offensive favor for the Steelers in that one.
He also pretty much dominated the Super Bowl against the Vikings in 1974, or the 74 Super Bowl played in 75 in New Orleans. But yeah, we couldn't stop him on defense. So he was good.
Ground attack and Franco's army getting after it. And
Yeah.
think about it, without the immaculate reception,
Hmm.
maybe none of this ever happens for the Steelers.
Yeah.
Maybe the Vikings get a Super Bowl win. Maybe my Cowboys get some Super Bowl wins.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is funny how you talk about like you hate him because he's good. Like
Yeah.
I felt the
Really,
same way
your
about
respect
Patrick
is
Mahomes the
there.
last like 7, 8
Yeah.
years. I'm like, God, can't we beat this guy? Like, oh, stop him, like tackle him. Like, you know, I have that. Like, I know he's good, but like I'm just like sick of him and I want them to finally like beat him. And
Yeah.
this year when the Chiefs didn't do too well, I was on cloud nine.
I hear you. Well, Aaron, how about for you? You're number four.
Well, my number four, he's got kind of two strikes against him. It is Jimmy Johnson.
Oh, there you
So
go.
he was the coach of the Dolphins in 1999, and the main reason I do not like him is they were playing Doug Flutie, and Doug Flutie had come, onto the Bills and kind of come out of the CFL, and nobody thought he'd play in the NFL well, and he kind of got that Flutie magic going and got us excited again. And so Flutie was, doing well, got us to the playoffs. He was selling the Flutie Flakes cereal. So Flutie Flakes, the proceeds went to benefit his autism foundation, and Flutie's son had autism or has autism. So, it's this benevolent thing, it's this cool thing. Western New York's all behind it. The Dolphins beat the Bills in the playoffs. In the locker room, Jimmy Johnson takes a box of Flutie Flakes and pours it out, and then encourages his players to stomp on the Flutie Flakes. So I was like, dude, you're actually kind of like disparaging helping students with autism. So that rubbed me the wrong way. Also, like from the Cowboys days, I already didn't like Jimmy Johnson because of that respect thing. Like his Cowboys trounced my Bills twice in the Super Bowl, like pretty badly. He's got the helmet hair. He's got the little Southern, like,
He's straight out of Arkansas, you know.
yeah, right. He's got
Straight
that
from
kind
the
of like
South.
good old boy. I'm so wonderful, and uh, not my favorite guy already. Then he went to the Dolphins, and a team I like even worse, and then did that. So Jimmy Johnson is not my favorite person.
Aaron, would you say that Jimmy Johnson's not the model of good sportsmanship?
Correct. I think too, like some of the stuff he kind of looked the other way with the Cowboys, like, oh, don't worry about it. Like do those things that, like some of his players shouldn't have been doing, but he's like, well, we're winning, who cares? Kind of attitude. Um, from an outsider's point of view, or the team that got beat by him. So I didn't like him for a lot of reasons, but like that Flutie Flakes incident kind of put him over the top for me. Like, oh, this guy. So
Yeah.
so that Jimmy Johnson for sure.
Well, my next guy is Randy White, and this is his 79 tops,
78.
78, sorry, 78 tops All Pro card, which was really some of his best years were late 70s. And he dominated, especially seemed to be whenever he would play the Vikings. I'm going to find, I had a little article here I was reading about him.
The
So
Manchester?
the 1977 NFC Championship, him and the Cowboys' doomsday defense stifled the Vikings 23 to 6 in a pivotal moment in Randy's career, and it ended the Vikings season. So he was known for kind of being one of the guys that could actually chase down and tackle Fran Tarkenton, because Fran Tarkenton was the master of escapism and could get away from everybody else's tackles, but Randy could get to him. So for that reason, I and they called him the Manster. I did not like that nickname either, but because he
Half
was half
man, half
man, half
monster?
monster. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
But
So
from your perspective, Royce, I could understand that, facing, your offensive line going against Tim and Harvey Martin and Ed Too
oh,
Tall Jones,
yeah.
yeah, that would be a long day for any offensive line back then.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, Cowboys, you got to give it to them. They had a great team in the 70s. That late 70s era was pretty great for them and great for the Vikings, except for when they hit the Cowboys. So, yeah, that's a big one. So, Randy was my
Y'all
number
also though
four.
made 4 Super Bowls though in the 70s.
Yeah. Yeah. Starting with
So,
1970. Yeah.
I mean, the Vikings were in it as well. They had their
Yeah.
opportunities for getting that title.
Yep. Yeah. They were super close. I mean, I am at least glad we've made it to four. There are some teams, I think four teams that haven't even made a Super Bowl in all of their whole life of that team. So at least I've been four times, kind of like the Bills.
What?
We just,
Oh, yes, that's
yeah.
true.
So we got to get one. One of us are going to get to a Super Bowl and actually win it one of these
One of
years.
these days.
Yeah. Okay. Who do you got up next, Kelly?
Yeah, a whack filter celebrate, right?
Yeah,
My
I
number
think.
three is as like the silent, like the silent killer. Can y'all hear me?
Yep.
No, you're a little choppy for me.
Is every, silent killer. It's none other than Mike Wagner.
Ah,
of the Steelers, safety. Super Bowl 10, he starts things off. He gets an interception, returns it to the 7 of the Cowboys. And, that's a 4-point game. Again, for me, he was there making crucial plays on defense, intercepting the ball. So definitely, Mike Wagner in both Super Bowls, hey, he's locking down receivers, making life tough. So yeah, I would say Mike Wagner is my number three on the Steelers there.
I
and
read
that's
just this week
timely.
that he just passed away, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yesterday, right?
certainly condolences to him and his family, but
Yeah,
yeah, he's number three,
gotcha. Yep, he was good.
Yeah. In
Okay.
the article I was reading, he was part of all four Steelers Super Bowls.
Wow.
definitely. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, respect, but man, he made life difficult.
Cool. Okay, so am I up for number three?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, number three is a little newer guy, Jarvis Landry. I do not have a Dolphins card of him. I'm not collecting Jarvis Landry cards because I don't like him. So I had to dig this one up that I just got in a pack somewhere or something. I'm not out looking for his card. But Jarvis Landry, while he was a member of the Dolphins, he did this crackback block that was illegal, and he injured one of the Bills players, Aaron Williams, and it was a pretty dirty hit. And everybody was upset with him, and he basically ended Aaron Williams' career. Aaron Williams was never the same and never really played after that. And then a couple years later, and that was in 2016. So in 2018, Landry's part of the Browns, and in a preseason game, um, Jarvis Landry does another hit on Taron Johnson of the Bills, and also another illegal crackback type hit in the preseason. Um, so the Bills were already like, we don't like this guy, and then he did that. So it was like, you know, kind of that like dirty player kind of feeling, and the second time it happened against us. So Jarvis Landry is not a favorite of any Bills fan.
And that's
And
mostly because of his unsportsmanlike conduct, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a good receiver, and he'd always get some first downs against us, and kind of like that, let's stop this guy. But it was mostly the unsportsmanlike stuff that more gets our ire.
Yep. Well, Aaron, can I have you hold up the Troy Aikman card? Because that's my next guy.
Yes.
Okay, so Troy Aikman looks like a score, probably 1999 or 2000 card, probably.
Yep.
Okay,
2000.
2000. Yeah. So Troy Aikman was he actually has a losing record against the Vikings. He went 2-3 against the Vikings during his career, but in the 1996 NFC wildcard round, he stomped us 40-15, and it was mostly him and his passing game. He just we had a great year, and then he just blew it all out of the water like it was a wasted year. So that I just remember like, oh, this guy, he's just too good. We can't stop him. So again, not because he's a bad guy, but because he just killed one of our years. And so Aikman is my number three.
Do you like him as an announcer, or do you not like to hear his voice?
I guess I cringe a little when I hear his voice just because of those the trauma I have from the past losses.
Yeah. How about you,
it's
Kelly?
wrong.
Do you
We're
like his
all at three
announcing?
right going through this therapy session. Well, my number two in this therapy session for most hated player on my hated rival team would have to be Terry Bradshaw.
Yeah.
And him and my hero, childhood hero, Roger Staubach. Bradshaw's the man who got 4 Super Bowl titles. And Staubach he got 2, but they faced off twice, and Bradshaw got the upper hand on both. I mean, Bradshaw he was a tough cookie in Super Bowl 10 because the Cowboys were bringing the heat and hitting him, knocking him down, but he'd get back up and he'd get back after it, and then Super Bowl 13, like what else can I say? Like, the guy had 4 touchdown passes, like, and they won 35 by Dallas Cowboys. Terry, he's on as well as a analyst, and I mean, he brings his Southern humor out of Louisiana, and I don't know if in his playing days he had that same kind of aw shucks mentality. I don't remember that about him, but I do remember him being competitive and finding a way to win.
Yeah. Hey, Kelly, let me ask you from your opinion, from what you've seen, because you go to a lot of different card shows. I would guess, and I could be wrong on this, but I would guess that Bradshaw and Staubach are probably the most recognizable 1970s football cards out there. Am I wrong? Or are there other names that you would put up there with them?
I mean, certainly you have to throw in Tarkenton. You would think he's one of the '70s greats.
Yeah.
Bob Greasy,
Bob
you know,
Greasy, maybe Ken Stabler.
definitely.
Are you talking just quarterbacks, Royce, or
I was
anybody?
just thinking overall, like cards, I think of that 72 Staubach rookie as one of the best. I guess quarterbacks for sure. There's a 76 Peyton is probably the most famous card of the 70s,
Yeah,
but for quarterbacks, I would say Bradshaw and um, the 72 Staubach specifically for recognizable cards. And I think wasn't Bradshaw's rookie at 70 or was it
71.
71,
71? 71, yeah.
71.
So,
Yeah,
just
whenever you mention some of those high profile players, yeah, certainly sweetness has to be in the mix, as does like Earl Campbell, Tony Dorsett, Franco Harris. Um, those are like the big ones that kind of come to mind immediately.
okay,
Yeah,
cool.
Mean Joe Green's rookie is pretty expensive too. I'm wanting that one, but I'm too cheap, so
Yeah.
trying to find one in poor condition because I'm cheap.
I hear you.
Yep.
All right, who do you got next, Aaron?
So next I have one of these tall boy cards of
Oh,
Brian Cox.
oh
So
yeah.
Brian Cox with his stupid little like board behind his head, and this guy he didn't make any fans in Buffalo. He gave us the double bird after
Oh,
losing a game, and he was always talking about how what a dumb town Buffalo is, and he was just kind of like he spit on our logo on the field once, and just kind of like rubbing it in. And luckily, the Bills won more than they lost in the 90s. That was our Super Bowl years. But this guy always, was kind of like, trying to get our goats. He was that you know, kind of player that's trying to push your buttons, poke the bear. Um, so this guy, not a fan at all. And then to make matters worse, in the early 2000s, when the Patriots started killing us, he went to the
oh.
Patriots. So another double whammy, like Jimmy Johnson, like hated him for the Dolphins, hated him for the Patriots. And again, another one that most Bills fans would say he's on the top five of like guys we can't stand.
Yeah.
Aaron, let me ask you this: on Brian Cox, was he known as like kind of a dirty player throughout the league during his playing days, or
I know
was
he
it
was
just the
like
Bills
known as kind
fancy
of
rate that was higher?
volatile, like kind of a high motor guy and volatile. For some reason it seems like he saved his worst for us. He kind of like because we were the division rival, and it was usually either us or the Dolphins winning the division. During his career, and so I don't know how other teams view him, but
Hmm.
from our point of view, he is a dirty player. Yes.
So he kind
Okay.
of made himself a Buffalo supervillain.
Yeah, kind of, yeah, just to, you know, poke the bear, kind of like, disparaging the town and, talking about our weather or not I live in Oregon, but talking about Buffalo's weather and all that, and kind of always putting them down in one way or another.
Gotcha. Okay, Aaron, can you hold up the Michael Irvin card, please?
Yes.
Okay. So this is my next guy, Michael Irvin. I am definitely not a fan of. First of all, he was a good player, but he was also a bad human for a while. And I still don't like him as an announcer. But I guess when he was well known for his cocaine use there for a while. Just doing things that, to me, when you're that level of football player, you were an example for kids first and foremost. And so I really don't like the guys that kind of took their greatness and threw it threw it away to drugs and stuff like that. I mean, I think there's a room for redemption, sure, but at the same time, how many people did you steer wrong in the meantime? And so that part of him, I have zero respect for, that he would kind of take his greatness and kind of throw it away like that was a bummer to see. So, but also he was good against my Vikings too. I think I have a little bit of information on that. Um, yeah, he had some pretty good games. Again, that same game with Aikman in 1996, that divisional matchup that we got knocked out of the playoffs in that 40-15 game. It was basically Aikman and him connecting. So, and then he also talked about he was just as good or better than Randy Moss. And to me, they're not even in the same like realm at all. Randy's way better, in my opinion. So just the fact that he thinks he's greater than he is kind of shows his attitude and his cockiness, that he has no humility at all, and that kind of bugs me. So not a big
Randy
fan.
Moss is very humble. Randy Moss is Mr. Humble. Just kidding.
I know.
Right.
Most receivers are known to be divas, right?
That's true.
I think
Yeah.
that's where that term came from, right? In that
Yeah.
era.
Yeah.
Um, well, I guess let me get to my number one, my dagger in my heart. Number one supervillain of the Steelers is
Oh,
Lynn Swan.
that's a great card.
Oh, yeah, I know, but it's because it's my set. It's not like I'm going out and buying Glenn Swan cards, but I am a set builder. But again, acrobatic catches in Super Bowl 10 ends up being the Super Bowl MVP. It helps the Steelers get another Super Bowl win in 13. We know the history of it. Again, Lynn Swan, not my favorite. I'm sure he's a favorite amongst Steeler Nation. But again, if he drops a couple of those passes and a couple of Super Bowls there, maybe we have a different story and a different outcome.
He did have some acrobatic catches in that time. So he was also what I see. I'm a Lynn Swan guy because during the 80s, he announced the USFL games. He was an announcer on the USFL games. So I appreciate that. He was actually a really good booth announcer, I thought. So um,
It's interesting how many announcers got because Jimmy Johnson, he was on one of the
yeah,
like morning shows or whatever.
true. Michael Irvin,
Urban, he's in,
Bradshaw,
Bradshaw,
Aikman.
Aikman. A lot of
Yeah,
these guys, their personalities, some people love their personality and some people don't.
true.
Um,
Also, I think the knowledge that they have of the game and that insight that they bring
yeah,
to
Yeah.
us common folks.
yeah, except Jimmy Johnson, he doesn't know anything.
But I agree, Kelly. I think it's crazy to me to hear quarterbacks talk. And especially if you listen to guys like Brady or Manning or even Aikman, they can recall the play like it just happened. Every single play. Like you could ask them, okay, it was third down and 8 in 1992, and you're going against this team. What happened? And it's like instant recall. It's crazy to me how their minds work, but they're just super intelligent. So you got to respect it. Yeah.
Speaking of intelligent, this guy
Definitely.
is not. Tyreek Hill. This is my number one least favorite Dolphin. Again, I don't have a lot of Tyreek Hill cards. Um, so this Tyreek Hill is one I just happened to have in a pack. And I actually tried to give this to you, Royce, and you didn't want it. So I
Nope.
got stuck with it. Um, so Tyreek Hill, again, he's another double whammy. Beating us in the 13-second game,
Mm.
always flashing the little peace sign as he's running away from the Bills' defensive backs as a Chief. Then the Chiefs get rid of him and he goes to the Dolphins, like from bad to worse again. Um, so on the Dolphins, we really controlled him and he didn't like that. So he called us trash because we had to double team him or we had to box him in or whatever. I was like, well, we held you to like two catches and 27 yards on average kind of thing, which he didn't like. But I didn't like him on the football field, but again, it's his off the field stuff that I really don't like about Tyreek Hill. Dating all the way back to his college days, in 2014, he got kicked off the Oklahoma squad for strangling his then pregnant girlfriend.
That's
Um,
terrible.
and then yeah, just ever since then, that kind of thing, abusing children, abusing girlfriends, getting speeding tickets and laughing them off, speeding in his car like around the stadium where he could have ran somebody over, all this stuff. And he's talented, but he's kind of like used his talent to wiggle out of any kind of repercussions for his actions. So I don't like seeing that. I don't like seeing people just get away with all kinds of stuff just because they're good at football. This guy's gotten away with a lot of horrible stuff. Not a fan. I kind of hope now that the Dolphins cut him, I kind of hope nobody picks him up. Some people are like, the Bills should get him. I'm like, no, no, do not sign this guy, please.
I've
I
seen
will.
Vikings rumors too. I don't want him on the
Yeah,
Vikings.
I don't want him. So I
Yeah.
know he's talented, but I am not a fan. Just his actions on the field, but especially his actions off.
Yeah. We've got about 4 minutes left, FYI.
Okay.
So I'm going to jump into mine. Aaron, can you show that last card?
Yes.
This is Ezekiel Elliott, who, for me, my kind of loathing of Elliott started with the Oregon Ducks championship game, which was back in 2015. Um, the Ducks had a great year, and then Ezekiel Elliott just killed us. He had over I think 240 yards in that game and a couple touchdowns. That's when I started disliking him. And not only that, but he loved to like show his bare midriff, which we don't need to see that. So and he was just super cocky, overly cocky, and then he had another game where they blew out the Vikings, I think 40-6 in I want to say 2019. He had some good years for the Cowboys there for a few years, and then he really dropped off a cliff. But during his good years, he was just way cockier than anybody else on the field, and liked to kind of flaunt his, I don't know, just swagger, I guess, if you want to
He
call it
did the
that. But
feed
it
me
was,
thing, right? The
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
feed me the ball or whatever he was doing. But
And
yeah,
then jumping into the Salvation Army pot there on Thanksgiving Day, and it just
yeah.
adds to your pain and heartache, right?
So, but I guess let me ask, as a Cowboys fan, how do you feel about someone like that on your team who just kind of makes your team look bad because he's so selfish?
Well, there's a lot of give and take with that. If your team's winning, you kind of look the other way, I think, a lot of times. But ultimately, I believe in being a good sport and playing the game
Yeah,
the right way, and but also folks probably look at our age and go, "Yeah, you old school guys," but let your talking on the field take place, not off the field. So
right.
that's how I feel.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah, I
with you.
love like Barry Sanders, like probably the best pure running back ever, and he just like dropped the ball when he got in the end zone. Like, he didn't make a big fuss. He didn't like, you know, do a
Showboat.
big dance or anything, but like he proved it. Like, and Walter Payton, I feel kind of the same way.
Yeah,
These guys just proved it again and again, and we're all flash and show.
yeah. Agreed. Well, hey, that we're about out of time, but this was fun to talk about. Any parting words before we go? Kelly, what do you got going on in your pipeline? Any big things coming
Pain. Super Bowl pain. The
up?
Steeler fans go, this guy Kelly and his hatred for the Steelers. Pain, a whole decade of pain. Between Cowboys and Vikings, we should be united in this against the
Yeah.
Steelers and
Yeah.
get them Super Bowl rings. So, really, man, this has been a blast. Thank you for having me on there on this with you guys. I look forward to hosting, and we'll do this again in March.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Aaron, how about you? Anything?
I just have to say it was tough to pick a team because with the Chiefs, the Cowboys, the Jets, the Dolphins, and the Patriots, I had a lot to choose from. But what brought this about is I was thinking about like, hey, there are actually some people I like on the Dolphins, but it was hard to think of like five, for a lot of teams. So I was thinking like, you know, if they were wearing Bills colors, I would love Dan Marino. I would love, you know,
Yeah.
Dwight Stevenson and Larry Little, and there's some guys that like I really like as players, but oh gosh, they're wearing that teal and orange, gaudy, horrible stuff. So,
Yeah.
so it is funny that you guys picked a lot of people that you really actually respect, but they were on the team that was, your rival and you know killing you, and you're like, oh, I don't like that guy because he's
Yeah.
too good.
Well, we
Oh,
probably should
our
wrap it up, man.
yeah, we
Yep.
better head out. It's about to drop us. So great show. Good talking to you guys. I'll talk to you soon.
All
Thanks,
right,
guys.
take care.
Bye.